Welcome to our deep dive into Frank Herbert's Dune. You've shared some really interesting sources with us all, exploring the complex world of Arrakis and the leadership lessons we can glean from this epic story. It seems you're especially interested in seeing how these principles might apply to your own life and maybe even the business world.
It's fascinating how Dune, even though it's science fiction, manages to hold up a mirror to our own struggles with power, ethics, and adaptation. The sources you've provided paint a vivid picture of Arrakis, its people, and the characters who are trying to navigate this harsh, unforgiving landscape.
Okay, let's unpack this. First, a quick refresher. Arrakis is a desert planet incredibly hostile, but also home to the most valuable resource in the galaxy's spice melange. Whoever controls the spice controls the universe, basically. And that immediately sets the stage for conflict, right? We have two major houses vying for power. House Atreides, known for their honorable leadership, and House Harkonnen, notorious for their brutality.
And that contrast is where the real meat of the leadership lessons lies. House Atreides, led by Duke Leto, operates on loyalty, strategic thinking, and empowerment. Think about figures like Duncan Idaho the Swordmaster or Gurney Halleck the War Master. Their loyalty isn't born out of fear, but out of genuine respect for Duke Leto and his leadership.
Which is a far cry from how the Harkonnens led by the Baron rule, through fear and oppression. It's almost like Herbert is setting up a case study in what not to do. Their leadership style is all about control and exploitation, and frankly, it seems like a recipe for disaster, especially given the unique challenges of Arrakis. Wouldn't you say so?
Absolutely. It highlights a critical difference between leadership styles. The Baron exemplifies autocratic leadership, top-down control reliant on fear. Duke Leto embodies servant leadership, leading by example, building trust, and nurturing the potential of those around him. It makes you wonder, is charisma enough, or are deeper values essential for truly effective leadership?
That's such a good question, especially in today's world where leadership styles are constantly evolving. But before we get too deep into the Atreides approach, there's another faction we need to address, the Bene Gesserit. This secretive women's order is fascinating because they've been pulling the strings for centuries, literally manipulating bloodlines through selective breeding to achieve their goals.
Their goal being to create the Kwisatz Haderach, a superhuman figure. And this is where Dune gets really interesting and a bit morally ambiguous. The Bene Gesserit believe they're acting for the greater good, but their methods involve a level of control and manipulation that's hard to swallow, even if you appreciate their long-term vision.
It really makes you think about the ethical limits of leadership, right?
Yeah.
How much control is too much, even if you believe your intentions are good? And who gets to decide what the greater good even is? It seems like a slippery slope.
It is. And Dune doesn't shy away from exploring the unintended consequences of these actions. Lady Jessica, the Duke's concubine, and Paul's mother was a Bene Gesserit. She defied their orders by having a son, throwing their meticulously crafted plans into disarray. The ripple effects of that one choice are felt throughout the entire story.
Speaking of choices, Duke Leto also faces a monumental one when he's given control of Arrakis. He knows it's a trap set by the Harkonnens and the Emperor, but he accepts anyway. I mean, that seems almost naive given the danger, but maybe that speaks to his inherent faith in his own leadership abilities.
Perhaps. But remember, Duke Leto isn't just driven by personal ambition. He genuinely believes in the potential of Arrakis and sees an opportunity to create something better for his people. He understands that true strength lies in unity, not just military might.
And this is where his strategic brilliance comes into play, right? He knows the Harkonnens rely on off-planet resources, so he sets out to develop desert power, utilizing the unique resources of Arrakis to his advantage. He recognizes the Fremen, the native people of Arrakis, as key to this strategy, not just because of their knowledge of the desert, but because of their fierce independence and resilience.
Exactly. He doesn't try to force his will on them like the Harkonnens might. Instead, he seeks understanding and collaboration, recognizing their unique strengths and the value they bring to the table. He even sends Duncan Idaho, his most trusted warrior and advisor, to establish contact with the Fremen, hoping to build trust and forge a mutually beneficial alliance. It's a powerful lesson in the importance of understanding and respecting different cultures, especially in a world as diverse as ours. And that brings us to the Fremen themselves.
Yeah.
You know, it's easy to get caught up in the political machinations of the great houses, but the Fremen represent something much deeper in Dune. They offer a compelling study in resilience adaptation and a leadership style born out of necessity. They've not only survived, but thrived in one of the harshest environments imaginable.
That's what I find so intriguing about them. It's like they've turned scarcity into an art form. Their entire culture revolves around making the most of what they have, whether it's water technology or even their own bodies. Take their still suits, for example, those incredible garments that recycle moisture. It's such a brilliant solution to a critical problem, And it makes you think about how we often take resources for granted in our own lives.
Mm.
I mean, could we be doing more to be resourceful and sustainable like the Fremen?
Absolutely. The Fremen teach us to look at constraints not as limitations, but as opportunities for innovation. They see value where others see only hardship. It's a powerful mindset shift, and one that's incredibly relevant in a world facing growing resource scarcity.
And it's not just about technology, is it? Their entire worldview seems to be centered around this deep connection to the environment. They understand the delicate balance of the ecosystem, the power of the sandworms, and the importance of the spice melange, which is not just a commodity to them, it's intertwined with their culture and spirituality.
Precisely. Their relationship with the sandworms is particularly fascinating. They revere these colossal creatures, recognizing their power and their role in the ecosystem. They've even learned to ride them, harnessing their energy for transportation. It's like they've found a way to coexist with nature's most formidable force, something we could all learn from as we grapple with our own environmental challenges.
But their strength doesn't make them passive.
Right.
They have this fierce independence, this refusal to be controlled, which makes them both valuable allies and formidable adversaries. The Harkonnens learned that lesson the hard way.
Yes, and that's something Dune emphasizes repeatedly, the importance of understanding the motivations and values of those you work with, those you lead, those you seek to influence. The Fremen don't blindly follow. They question, they challenge, and they demand respect. It's a stark contrast to the Harkonnens' approach, which relied on brute force and intimidation and ultimately led to their downfall.
It's almost like they embody the saying, what doesn't kill you makes you stronger. Their ability to not just survive, but thrive in the face of constant danger is incredible. It begs the question, how do we cultivate that kind of resilience in ourselves, in our teams, and our organizations?
It's a question worth pondering. Perhaps it starts with a willingness to embrace discomfort, to step outside our comfort zones and confront challenges head-on. The Fremen teach us that resilience isn't about avoiding hardship. It's about learning and growing from it.
So we have these complex factions vying for power on Arrakis, the Honorable Atreides, the brutal Harkonnens, the manipulative Bene Gesserit, and the resilient Fremen. But Dune isn't just a political thriller set in space. It's a deep exploration of the ethical dilemmas that come with power.
You're right. The characters are constantly confronted with tough choices. Duke Leto accepts the governorship of Arrakis, knowing it's a trap, believing he can make a positive impact. Paul grapples with his growing prescient abilities and the potential consequences of leading the Fremen in a jihad, and the Bene Gesserit wrestle with the morality of their manipulations, believing they're acting for the greater good.
It's interesting because none of these characters are inherently good or evil.
Hmm.
They're all driven by their own beliefs, their own goals, and they often make decisions with unintended consequences. It makes you realize that leadership isn't just about achieving goals, it's about how you achieve them and who is impacted along the way. And in a world where power can be so easily abused, Dune serves as a cautionary tale, urging us to consider the ethical implications of our choices no matter how big or small.
I think that's a crucial takeaway. Dune reminds us that leadership is a responsibility, not just a privilege. And it's a responsibility that extends beyond ourselves to those we lead and the communities we impact. The Fremen, in their own way, embody this sense of responsibility. Their leaders are accountable to their people. Their decisions are guided by a deep understanding of their environment and their culture, and their actions are always aimed at ensuring the survival and well-being of their community.
That makes me think about how we often view leadership in our own society. We tend to focus on individual charisma, ambition, and achievement. But the Fremen offer a different perspective. Leadership rooted in service responsibility and a deep understanding of the needs of the community. It's a refreshing perspective and one that's worth exploring further. Wouldn't you agree?
I do. And I think that's a perfect segue into the next part of our deep dive. We've talked about the Fremen's resilience and their unique relationship with their environment. But let's delve deeper into their specific approach to leadership. They don't have CEOs or presidents. Their leadership structure is something far more organic, far more intertwined with their way of life. It's something we can all learn from, regardless of our position or industry.
Okay, so let's dive into that. The Fremen don't just respect strength, they revere it. Their leaders are those who have proven themselves in the most challenging conditions, those who understand the desert and its dangers, those who embody the values of their people. It's not a position you inherit, it's something you earn, right?
Exactly. And that's where we'll pick up next. We'll explore how Fremen leaders emerge, the qualities they embody, and the lessons we can draw from their unique approach to navigating complexity and uncertainty. Stay with us.
Welcome back to our deep dive into the world of Dune. We've been exploring the different leadership styles at play, from the strategic brilliance of Duke Leto to the harsh control of the Harkonnens. But now let's get back to the Fremen, and how they choose their leaders, because it's not about titles or elections. It's something much more primal, wouldn't you say?
It's almost as if their leadership is baked into their very survival. They live on a planet where every decision can be a matter of life or death. Water is scarce, sandworms are a constant threat, and trust within their community is paramount. Their leaders aren't appointed. They rise through a crucible of challenges, proving their strength, cunning, and deep understanding of the desert.
So it's like a constant test of their abilities.
Yeah.
They earn respect not through words or lineage, but through action, showing they can navigate danger, protect their people, and secure the resources they need to thrive. It makes you think about how we define leadership in our own world. Is it about charisma, or is it about something more tangible?
That's a question Dune forces us to grapple with. Think about the duel between Paul Atreides and Jameis the Fremen warrior. It wasn't just a fight, it was trial by fire, a way for Paul to prove his worthiness to the Fremen, to show he could adapt to their ways. And that concept goes beyond physical prowess, right? Fremen leaders also need to be skilled negotiators, strategists, and even spiritual guides, connecting their people to a greater purpose.
It's fascinating how their environment has shaped their entire leadership structure. They value knowledge that's directly applicable to their survival, like the knowledge possessed by Layet Kynes, the imperial planetologist, who was also a respected Fremen leader. His deep understanding of Arrakis and its secrets made him a valuable asset to their community.
It's a testament to the Fremen's commitment to continuous learning and adaptation. They understand that knowledge is power, especially in a world as unpredictable as Arrakis. They're not afraid to question assumptions, to seek new information, and to constantly adjust their strategies based on the ever-changing circumstances. In a way, they embody the essence of agility, something many organizations today strive for.
Okay, so we see how Fremen leaders emerge. But what qualities do they embody? What makes someone a leader in their eyes?
It's definitely about strength, but not just brute force. It's about mental resilience. The ability to withstand hardship, make difficult decisions, and inspire others even when facing overwhelming odds. They also value strategic thinking, being able to anticipate threats, outmaneuver opponents, and even turn setbacks into advantages. It's like they've turned adversity into a competitive edge.
And they have to be incredibly resourceful, right? Making the most of what they have, finding creative solutions to problems, and always thinking about the long-term sustainability of their community.
Exactly. But there's also a spiritual dimension to their leadership. Their leaders are often seen as guides, helping their people understand their complex relationship with the desert, the sandworms, and the spice. They connect their actions to a larger purpose, a vision of transforming Arrakis into a paradise, a vision that drives their collective efforts.
So it's not just about surviving the day-to-day, it's about inspiring a shared vision for the future. They understand that leadership is about more than just giving orders. It's about empowering people to work together toward a common goal.
And that's a powerful lesson for any leader in any field. It's about fostering a culture of resilience, adaptability, and continuous learning. It's about empowering individuals to contribute their unique strengths and perspectives. And it's about leading with a vision that inspires and unites people, propelling them towards something greater than themselves. Dune provides a blueprint for navigating complex challenges, for building resilient communities, and for leading with purpose and vision.
It's been a fascinating deep dive into Dune. And I hope you listening in have gleaned some valuable insights into the nature of leadership and the challenges we face in our own world. The story of Arrakis reminds us that true leadership is about more than just holding a position of power. It's about the choices we make, the values we embody, and the impact we have on the world around us. Keep those lessons in mind as you navigate your own journey.